Hello everyone, I'm Dante and today we're talking about microtransactions. To be honest, I've been wary about talking about these because this topic can get messy pretty quick. But since I showed the leaked image of the Anthem microtransaction store last week, others have picked it up and the money grabbing and shill comments have been flying around. So this is my attempt to take a constructive look at Anthem's microtransactions. What we know, how it compares to others, if they're too much, and what would be acceptable, at least in my opinion. So before we break anything apart, let's take a look at what monetization Anthem has. The standard game is £55 or $60, the Legion of Dawn edition is £70 or $80, and there is an option to play the game via the Origin Premier subscription for £15 a month, along with a library of other games. In addition to these, there will be microtransactions, but we don't have any figures for them. There is a post that has been gaining a lot of attention from a Game Changers event that shows placeholder prices up to $20 for a full cosmetic armor set. This is using a currency called Shards, but 100% of the items can be earned in-game. How does this compare to other games out there? The most prominent comparison right now in terms of microtransactions is Fortnite, entirely because it's the biggest game out there right now. I honestly don't think this is a fair comparison. They are extremely different games. Yes, Fortnite is free to play, so high-priced cosmetics are less of an issue, but it has no story, no loot grind, and no endgame style of content. And if we want to be technical, Fortnite does have a full-price game that costs $20, but has never been finished, so instead we should look at other live service games. Warframe is the next obvious example, which I think is a much fairer comparison. It does have a story, but that has been pretty bare until recently, and importantly, it's free to play. Its primary source of microtransactions is in buying prime frames. All can be earned in-game, but they have huge grinds to acquire the parts, depending on which frames you want, as well as lots of other items you can get, such as pets, with a progression system tied heavily to mods. In essence, this is a pay-to-skip model, as you can make everything in-game, but you have to wait several days for the large stuff, or buy the frames and other vanity items outright. For reference, one of the two new frames costs £27, £14 if you just want the vanity items, or £40 for both frames and vanity items. These occur every 3 months, so if for some reason you were to buy all of them, it would cost you £160 a year, but in most cases you can just grind for them. In addition to this, they have a premium currency called Platinum, that can be earned by trading items through an in-game economy, and as an occasional login reward. They can be bought from $5 to $200. In terms of spending, an armor set ranges from 100 to 500 platinum for a set, or around $7 to $35, with the majority being on the low end, and supplemented by an in-game economy to pay in part or in full. The other major comparison comes from Destiny, that over time has been reduced in cost. It has a combination of upfront buy-in of £50 that includes all current expansions, a season pass at £30, and microtransactions for cosmetic items in addition. These range from £4.50 to £40, with the most expensive item conveniently not matching any of the tiers you can buy. This will cost you £80 to get in for a year, recurring with each yearly turnaround. It's worth noting they don't use direct buy-in for every item, as the game contains loot boxes. So where does that leave us when it comes to Anthem? And how can we judge what is fair and how to compare it to the market? So, first of all, the upfront cost. Anthem is on the premium end, though it does have a full story with fully voiced cutscenes, side missions with the same, and other smaller bits of story in collectibles, all pretty standard in a full-priced game. It then has an endgame, consisting of contracts, strongholds, world bosses, and other content yet to be revealed. So how I look at this is, will this portion of the game be worth the initial investment? It's impossible to tell at this point. My gut from what I've played says yes. Even if determining its worth is subjective, I just don't have enough information to make a statement either way. And I believe this is the honest and least biased position to take, but I'm still skeptical, even as someone looking forward to the game. The next part we need to take a look at is how much does the future of Anthem cost, and how much content does this entail? We can't begin to put a monetary value on zero information, so we need Bioware to help us out here. What that leaves us with in the meantime, what are acceptable prices? Of course, we've had the leak which has indicated an estimated cost of $20 for a full armor set, which feels safe in assuming is the premium tier. This to me, along with pretty much everyone, is far too much. So what is a reasonable price? And as everything can be earned in game, how long is too long when it comes to earning an item? Effectively, these microtransactions become a pay to skip. So first of all, cost. What should the price be? Considering none of these items are big, charging as much as a small DLC or a whole game in some cases is too much, even if you're making the core of your ongoing game free. With that mindset, individual items should not be more than a couple of dollars. A full armor set consisting of pieces should be no more than 10. I prefer 5, but let's be honest, that's not likely to happen. When it comes to the materials, they should be on the lowest end, $1 to $3. The only thing I might pay 20 for though is an all-new javelin, ideally alongside an all-new patch, with story content explaining why we have one and advancing the plot for free. The other side of this is how long should these take to unlock? This is somewhat subjective, but I think as a community we can come to some sort of agreement with a reasonable rate. Obviously everyone will play different amounts and certain activities will be more efficient for different purposes. For the sake of being consistent, I want to use a game time amount not focused on gaining coins specifically, rather how much you should earn through general play, strongholds, contracts and gear progression farming. If we use the graphic once again, item costs between 8,000 and 40,000 in this example, which frankly seems an absurd amount from my experience of gaining coin. It's worth noting that as far as we know, you cannot earn shards from play, only coin, so you can't earn half the cost then buy the other half with money. I'm going to use 2 examples for time, those who would mostly play at the weekend, making up the 10 hours a week value, and those that play every evening at 30 hours. An armor set a week should be achievable with those 10 hours, which on these levels would make 4,000 coin an hour, so these numbers have to be way off. That would get you a vinyl in 2 hours, material in 4, and an emote in 6. These are different rarities though, so common versions would take you far less time. Using this scale, with the limited information we have, a full set of 6 materials and a complete armor pack would be 26 hours, coincidentally around the time frame someone playing every day. Just remember, those materials are not one-time use, so you'll keep them forever. These time frames feel about right, but the coin feels terrible. This also uses an assumption of shards being 200 to the dollar. Coin in the images shown should be reduced down to 10% of the current value, otherwise those numbers are pointlessly large. These costs would keep in line with the games such as Warframe, but keeping the grind focused on item progression with cosmetics as rewards for just playing. Whereas Warframe leans into being a grind, using weighting mechanics to drive purchases that should not be in a premium priced game such as Anthem, a reasonable trade-off in experience for me. These are just my opinions, and from the responses I've read and others I've spoken to, these are mostly consistent. However, almost 50% of people I spoke to said $5 would be about right for a basic armor set purchase, but they are willing to pay 10 or even more if the set has a lot of effort put into it. Or, alternatively, you can purchase themed packs for all javelins for $10. Both ideas I really like. I've thrown a lot of numbers, assumptions and opinions out there today using the small bits of information we have. I'm pretty confident that these prices are fair, on the condition that Bioware delivers on their commitment in ongoing story and updates for the game. If they stray from that, then these values become less reasonable. At this point, we need to see a roadmap for the endgame so we can make informed decisions, even if they redact the names of the events for spoilers. So what do you think of these values? Are they reasonable or too expensive? This is an important issue for Bioware to get right, so voice your opinions. Just do it in a respectful manner. Thanks for watching this episode. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, or a dislike if you prefer. You can support me and the channel by subscribing, and use the bell to be notified of future content as it goes live. Until next time, I've been Dante, thanks for watching.